Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are today. I want to welcome you back to another season of Surviving and Thriving in a Pandemic. I am your host, Pastor Sharice Cross, and I am excited that you have tuned in with us today. This season is going to be amazing. We have some great experts. We have doctors, we have nurses, all kinds that are coming to you to this season to talk about surviving and thriving in a pandemic. And today is no exception. Today we're going over pandemic updates. We need some updates, okay? We're coming into our second year of being in this pandemic, and I want to get some updates from our expert today. She is Dr. Victoria Foster. She serves on our health and wellness ministry here at the House of Hope of Atlanta. She is a graduate of Tuskegee University and has been a nurse for 33 years. She presently works in academia, where she serves as director of undergraduate program at Clayton State University. She is a tenured full professor. She has been one for the past 22 years. She is dedicated to fighting COVID-19 through participating in drive-through vaccine clinics and collaborating with health systems to provide vaccines to the community and offering COVID vaccines to her campus community. She was recently funded 2 COVID grants, one to increase the vaccine rate of the residents of Clayton and the other to increase the vaccine confidence among her campus community. She is married and she has 2 daughters. I want you to welcome Dr. Victoria Foster to the show today. Welcome her and welcome Dr. Foster. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show today. I am so excited to have you here today to have this conversation. You know what I remember way back 2 years ago, right? When we were getting ready and hearing about this rambling of this virus called COVID-19, is you had given us some little packets and it had gloves, 2 gloves, a blue gloves and a little blue mask. I don't know if you remember that, but that was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was like a precursor to where we are now.
Yeah, we heard about it here on campus, and the School of Nursing got together. We got our students involved, and we made some kits for School of Nursing and people across campus, who would come in contact with others, and thought that would be helpful. And anytime I can grab something for the church, I always just bring some extra for us. So that's how I ended up bringing some to you guys.
I remember, and I still got a packet. I saw it the other day in the health and wellness office, and I was like, Dr. Foster, it's like she was prophetic. She already knew what we would need. So that's just segues right into what you're doing now. So you have received 2 grants, which is so awesome. So awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just talking about the fact that, so what I've heard statistics-wise is that we have 63% of U.S. has been vaccinated and about 50%, roughly 50% here in Georgia. Is that correct?
That is correct. 63% for the nation, 51% for Georgia right now. So yeah. we're still lagging behind the nation, so have some way to go. But hopefully we'll get there with the efforts that we're doing and other people around the state are engaging in.
Okay. So going back to the beginning, when you all made those kits and everything that was going on up until now, what have you learned from those kits up until right now? What is something that what are some things you can give us? A few things, yeah.
I just never could have anticipated all of what has happened. Starting with the kids, we were warned and told, and we always try to anticipate stuff as nurses, to take care of our patients and to take care of the community. So we made the kits not knowing that we will still be here. Is it 22 months? 22 months later? I guess I've learned it's kind of multifaceted. Being in academia, this is a brick and mortar school, so our students come in and we do face-to-face teaching. And at a certain point, we were all placed on lockdown and the students had to go home and we had to scramble and come up with a way, because like I said yesterday, education didn't stop. We had to keep moving. So we had to put everything online, and that was very difficult working with nursing students because, we are kind of a touchy-feely type of major. But I guess what I've learned from all of that is that there are other ways to do things. A lot of gas was saved because we were doing our meetings online, where we kind of drove everywhere. It's like driving all over the city sometimes in a day to get to this meeting or that meeting. But now we do a lot of stuff online. And so I think the pandemic has taught us a different way that we can. There are other methodologies to the madness that we create for ourselves. I guess for the vaccine and COVID, I've learned that we kind of have to be patient. I keep hearing all the complaints about the CDC, and they're telling us this and they're telling us that. But I guess we need to know that medicine is not an exact science. It is almost trial and error. So when they come out and tell us something, it's not that they're telling us something false when they change it a week later. It's just that science has discovered something else. So I think we just need to be a little bit more patient and tolerable and flexible with this whole COVID, whatever we want to call it, cascade or pandemic, because it affected the world. But I think those are the major two take-home points for me as far as COVID goes.
We've learned to adjust and adapt in new ways on how to communicate and get information across, and then also to look at the evolution, if you will. That's what I hear you saying, the evolution of what this looks like as far as treatments or even vaccines, to really look at that we're all evolving when it comes to COVID-19, right?
Yes, everyone.
Yeah. Yes. I'm even thinking about and curious about, since you're in academia, how did that shift when it comes to the new nurses that are coming and onboarding into this vocation that you're in? What was before is not, right? So yeah,
No.
what does that look like? Yeah.
I would have to say, we bring our students into the skills lab, and we take our students out to the various clinical settings according to which clinical course that they're taking. However, in March of 2020, they pulled all the students out of the clinical sites. And so again, we had to try to adapt to what was going on, and we did a lot of virtual education. We had a virtual skills lab and simulation on the computer. But that really doesn't take the place of that hands-on learning. And so we talked to a bunch of our stakeholders and clinical partners, and they did understand that. And so they were already on board that they would have to provide extra instruction to these students once they graduate from us and come to them. So that kind of helped. And when I talked to new nurses, they said that that internship is helping them to adjust because they missed so much by being out a year. It was a whole year that they missed in clinical and not didactic, but clinical. And that plays a big part in nursing education.
Yes, yes, it does. I want to again salute you and all of the healthcare providers. Oh my goodness. You all have been holding it down and still holding it at this point. And so I'm really praying for our new nurses that are coming in this field, thanking them and praying for them as they come into this new era of medicine.
Okay, I keep on saying self-reflection, but it's true. This is what I really think.
How do you recognize what you can do based off of what you want to do?
Come on, being honest with yourself. How can I fit this into my schedule? I think it's really being honest with yourself. And if you're in a hierarchy kind of organization, being honest with the people that manage you and are over you.
love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
What's up, House of Hope? It's the Flavor King, and welcome back to Cooking with Flavor KL. You know what time it is. It's time for me to show you how to make chili.
I'm thinking about the grant that you received, and it was to increase the vaccine rate for residents in Clayton County. Talk a little bit more about that and what that's like.
So they did a grant announcement sometime last April, May, and so my dean saw it, and she was like, "Victoria, you have to write this with me." And so I said, "Okay." She's getting ready to retire, so I think she wanted to do something big before she left. And it took us 6 days to write that grant. We were in her office from sun up to sundown. And, you know, I had to eat, so I would take breaks. I don't even remember her leaving to go to the bathroom. It's probably just so convoluted because we were writing and had the computers here and looking up data. And so we submitted it for $994,000 and received it. So I was very excited when we heard the news. But it was the grant was a simple grant in terms of what they wanted. They just wanted increased shots in the arm, and well, sounds simple. It's another story once we get out to Clay County. And the thing is, when we wrote that grant, it was the vaccine rate was 7.9%. I couldn't believe that. Clay County contains almost 300,000 residents, and 7.9%. So, like I mentioned yesterday, happy that we're at 47%. And a major goal of that grant was to have Clayton's rate the same as the state rate when our grant ends. It's a 1-year grant, so it ends in June 30th. So 51%, 47%, all the way down from 7.9%, all the way from 7.9% is a big improvement. So I'm very happy and proud of Clayton County, and we just have to get moving with the grant. We're getting ready to go in schools now. I just put up a schedule that we'll be going. We collaborated with the school system, and so we have some of the students acting as advocates for the vaccine. So they'll be hearing from their peers, because sometimes it's better coming from them than us kind of telling them information. And they get paid for this, so that's good. And of course, we had to get consent from the parents and stuff, but we'll go in because the vaccine has now been approved for 5 years and up, the Pfizer. And so that'll be our next thing we do. And our first date is January 27th. So that's next week. We'll start with Riverdale Elementary School. Oh, wow. So excited about that. And a little nervous too about kids because I'm an adult care nurse, but we'll see.
Okay. Wow. That's so exciting. So I'm already hearing you're at 47%. You're going to meet and exceed that 50%. So that is awesome. That's awesome. And the second part of that was to increase the confidence among your campus community and even probably the community that you're serving. So how do you do that? How do you increase confidence in this vaccine? How are you doing that?
Well, that was a different grant. That was a grant that I did by myself, and it was a mini grant, so only $3,000, and I only had a semester to do this. So I hired some students to work with me. I had my small little grant team, myself and 5 or 6 other students, and we sat down and came up with what our talking points would be, and got some information from the CDC and the health department and passed that out. So we kind of showed up around campus, set up a table. As people passed by, we would speak to them. And the campus seemed pretty receptive. We also created a survey. We got this vaccine confidence survey from the CDC. Now, it's not really reliable and valid because there's a bank full of questions, and we just pulled some questions, but we did have people answer that to tell us, why they haven't gotten the vaccine, what practices they're doing, what have they heard, what about, what do they know about the vaccine, the risk, the real risk, because, there's so much misinformation out there. And so we ran that data. And sometime this semester, we're going to do a poster presentation and a podium presentation to present what we found out about the campus. So we don't know technically if we really increased vaccine confidence, because we're not really measuring it, but we did expose our campus community, to the information and the factual information this time. So it was great dialogue to have them stop by and speak with us. And I love doing stuff with students, so it was great to see them engaged, and also helping out with public health, because I only had one nursing student. They were all other different majors, and I did that on purpose, because we all need to be involved in public health, not just nurses or people that are healthcare workers. So a great project, and we're still in the midst of it, because we have to now disseminate our findings.
Wow. So I'm not going to ask for all of them, and I understand they're unofficial, but I am so curious as to what is the hesitancy in the community about the vaccine. I know there are a plethora of facts or unfacts, or all kind of things that people are ingesting. So what is some major hesitancies around this vaccine?
Well, from younger females, because I ask younger people all the time, why haven't you gotten the shot? A lot of people say, well, my mom hasn't gotten it. And so I think people are impacted by the parents and whatever reasons they have for not getting it. But I've heard infertility was an issue. I don't know if you heard Nicki Minaj put out information about her cousin having his testicles swollen, and of course that took off, went viral. And then a younger person that was, I want to say 12.
And can we clarify that? Can we clarify that the vaccine did not cause his testicles to be enlarged? Just clarify that, y'all. That wasn't the case.
Fertility, none of that. I mean, we do have some risk associated with the vaccine, but the things that we hear out in the public aren't what they are. So people say it puts metal under your arm, and the government can track you. So I mean, I've just heard, even my oldest daughter, who's 29, she's vaccinated now. But last year, this time, she was saying, oh, I'm not getting that. Everybody's going to end up with a walking zombie and this and that. And I too, have had some hesitancy at the very beginning. I'm a Tuskegee grad. And so when I went to Tuskegee, I learned about the Tuskegee experiment. My parents never spoke about that in the house, so I never knew the government experimented on a whole county of African Americans. And so when I came back from nursing school, I didn't get the Hep B. It took me a while to get that. So it took me a while to get on board. But after I started seeing people dying, like there's been tremendous death, and it's all around us. And we could control this if we tried, if most of us get vaccinated. I look at the hospitals where the numbers are increasing again with the Omicron variant, and people are dying. Kids are dying now, more so than ever before with the Delta variant. And with that information tells me that the benefits outweigh the risk. But getting that over to some people, I think by this point, it's almost like you have this camp. Some people have made up their minds; they're just not going to get it. Some are, ones who have gotten one shot. Maybe we can increase those numbers and have them come back and get their second shot. But we are trying to reach that middle point, people who still haven't decided. And so hopefully we could reach them and help them make up their mind. So to see, because like in the hospital now, the people that are there are mostly the unvaccinated. It's like 97% that are unvaccinated. So it just seems like that fact alone would help in a person making this decision, but we still, and then, going back, it became a political issue so early on. And so we had divided camps there. And so it's kind of hard to penetrate, even though I do see more people from both sides of the political spectrum coming in to get vaccines. So I think we've been helpful in that way.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jermaine, Dolly, Mr. Hello, Dolly himself. And guess what? You're tuned in to Tea and Worship with my homies, Mignon and Corey. Keep it locked, y'all.
Hey, y'all, it's Candy West, and you're watching Tea and Worship with Mignon and Corey.
It's your boy James Fortune, and you are watching my favorite news show, Tea and Worship, with my sis Mignon and Corey.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best planned 90 minutes of your life? Or that surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
What's up, House of Hope? It's the Flavor King, and welcome back to Cooking with Flavor KL. You know what time it is. It's time for me to show you how to make chili.
I'm thinking about two things when you were speaking. First, the fact that it has penetrated both sides of the political spectrum or wherever you are. And so I'm glad that people are really thinking and being critical about their care. I look at that positive part of it. And then people are trying to take agency over their care. Either they choose it or not. There's still an agency that they're trying to take. And we can continue to spread information, good, reliable information, like to let people know that if you get vaccinated, it's a higher chance of you surviving. So even though I know we're in this variant right now that seems milder for people who are vaccinated, it's still deadly for those who are not.
Yes.
And I'm even thinking about 2 years ago, like when someone got COVID, it was like a death sentence. And now it feels a little lighter, feels like we can survive. And so I don't know, am I being hopeful, or is that what's going on?
I think that's what's going on. I'm always the optimist. I kind of think about AIDS, and when AIDS came out and how it was a death sentence. I was a nursing student at the time, and working with AIDS patients. And then I went out to California after I graduated to work on an HIV floor, and so people were dying. But now people take a pill. It's like a chronic illness, like somebody has diabetes or hypertension. And so they're living longer lives with it. So I just think eventually COVID, like I say, I hope we don't get into double Greek letters. We got to go to Omega from Omicron. But I just think eventually it'll be a common cold type, like the flu, similar to the flu. And we just get vaccinated every year. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I just don't see us being without this after all this time. How do we eradicate this? So again, it's still evolving. We don't know what's going to happen, and I'm just going to hope for the best and hope people get vaccinated.
I am too. I've had a number of family members and even friends and associates who have had the Omicron variant, and they have had flu-like, cold-like, sinus-like symptoms. And so I'm praying they all get better, and they have, a lot of them have recovered, but I'm thankful that they're not hospitalized and not on a ventilator. And that's been my prayer for all of them. And I hope that it slowly but surely, like you said, becomes like that common cold flu, and we just get that annual vaccination for that. So I want to leave with one last thought. I want to know, how is Dr. Victoria Foster taking care of herself? How are you teaching and talking with your nurses about taking care of yourselves in the midst of this? How are you guys taking care of yourselves?
So it's a fine line we walk. We have the state rules, and this is a state institution, so we can't mandate masks and mandate vaccines. But we do have some control, like we take our students to a skills lab, and so we tell them that this skills lab is a representation of the hospital facility, so you're going to be close to each other, so you have to wear a mask in here. So we kind of get away with that. But we talk about the regular stuff, social distancing. At one time we had the students 6 feet apart in the classroom, where we had to teach multiple times a day to bring the students in. It was a mess, just crazy. The beginning of last semester, they said, "Oh, we're taking away social distancing. They're going to be, how they were." We just took the liberty in my class, because we have like 50 students and they were up on each other. We decided to make an A and B group, and we lecture to one group 1 week and let another group stay home. And so they can see us on the computer screen and hear and ask questions and raise their hands, and like they're in the classroom, and then switch groups. And that kind of still gets us by with the social distancing. But and then the students go to the clinical setting, so they have to come and be fitted for the N95. So we protecting them there, and we just tell them the same things that's been going on. Wash your hands. I still follow those things. I notice my family members have fallen off a little bit. My husband's coming in the house and not washing his hands now, and sometimes go out, doesn't have a mask on, but I always have my mask on when I'm out. I'm continuously washing my hands. I have a 4-year-old grandson, so I make sure that I wipe down the handles and the toilet seat and everything that he can touch. Anything that we touch a lot, the what do you call it when you turn the TV on? The
remote.
The remote control. All those things that we touch a lot. My computer screen, my cell phone. I wipe those down. So I still have alcohol wipes at home. And then I took the liberty too of, when we go grocery shopping, I take everything before I put it in the cabinets. I always wipe it down with the alcohol wipe. And I guess I've been lucky, but since we've been having to wear this mask and been doing this frequent hand washing, I haven't even had a cold during this time. So I'm sure there are other people like me. So been doing okay, just trying to maneuver all these external variables around me with the students and getting them here. And some sites say you can't send this many, you can't send that, and so trying to just know what each site wants, and trying to juggle those balls. But I guess I've been pretty okay. I'm really tired of all of this. Everybody's overwhelmed and just mentally tired and ready to go back to normal. But we really don't know what normal is going to be. So we just have to wait this out and, try to do all we can to stay safe and keep our family members safe and our church family safe, and try to get through this together. We're in it as a world together. So we just have to kind of support each other and make it.
Wow. Well, that is, I'm grateful that you're trying to keep and keep everyone safe in the conditions that you're working in, and even yourself. And like you said, your mental capacity and health. I am praying for all of you guys, because this is, it's a marathon. We thought it was going to be a sprint, but it's really a marathon. And so I'm praying for all of you and your resilient natures, and that resiliency kicks in, and just hoping that we're going to come out this better. I know we are. I'm confident because of doctors like you, instructors and directors like you that are helping and impacting our community. I thank you for being on our show today. Thank you for being on Surviving and Thriving in a Pandemic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. And we hope to get
All right.
back soon.
Well, yes, indeed. We'll see you back. Well, family, we thank you for being on here, and we hope to see you again on another edition of Surviving and Thriving in a Pandemic. Be great out there. Thank you.
Forgiveness does not mean free reign, because we don't want to be reckless in that. We want to be strategic and intentional with our forgiveness, which is why this direction sense of forgiveness is very important when you talk about the psychology of forgiveness, because sometimes people will exploit your willingness to forgive if you don't necessarily have it set up in such a way where it doesn't blindside you when people sometimes could just be people. Forgiveness releases, but does not necessarily restore, because that's optional. Forgiveness puts us in position to move in the direction of reconciliation and restoration, but it doesn't mean that it's automatic.